Hey guys, welcome to That Florida Feeling. How is everybody today? First, my heart goes out to Tallahassee. That's awful. I feel for all the students that had to deal with that, and then the whole town of Tallahassee. That's awful. I really do feel for them. Nobody should ever have to deal with that. Yeah, that's awful. I saw that yesterday, and I was just like, that's so sad. So yeah, I feel so bad for that town right now. So yeah, I mean, I'll post anything if they do any recovery efforts for them or charities for them. But I will say donate blood. In times like this, I will always say donate blood. Whether it's an event like this or a hurricane or disaster relief, always go donate blood. That's one thing you can always do. So, but yeah, prayers for them. Hope everybody else has had a good week. None of us went through that, so I hope that everybody's had a good week. If you have not checked out Unfiltered Studios, do so. If you're looking for a new podcast, I hope that you can find something on there if you're looking for something new. There's pretty good variety of everything. Thanks to everybody who's checked out the social media pages. I appreciate you guys with the memes and the likes and the comments. You guys are awesome as always. If you have a suggestion, you can reach out on any of those. You can email me at thatfloridafeel@gmail.com. I appreciate that. I hope you guys enjoyed the replay last week. That was a fun episode, one of my older ones. And today we are going to talk about a lost city in Florida. In fact, it is the lost city of Mangonia. Now, if you've lived in South Florida, you're probably like, well, there's a Mangonia Park. It's not the same. It's in the same area, but it's not the same. There's actually a lost city of Mangonia. And it is really, really close to West Palm Beach. And it's a historic site. It's kind of close to the Northwood Shores neighborhood of West Palm. And it is kind of a forgotten town. It kind of sits between Riviera Beach and West Palm. And it was really one guy's passion for farming that kind of really created this town. Elbridge Gale, who actually came from Kansas. We're not in Kansas anymore. Sorry, I had to. He was a minister, an educator, and a professor of horticulture, and he came from Kansas. He retired in November of 1884, and if you've ever been in the Midwest in November, you don't want to be there. So I don't blame him for leaving and coming to Florida. And he moved with his wife to a property along the intercoastal. And he, of course, he knew farming. And he developed a farm, but he didn't grow wheat or soybeans or anything he had grown out in the Midwest. He grew mangoes. So he gave his place the name of Mangonia. Appropriate. And of course, this is not the town of Mangonia Park now. This is Mangonia. That was just his place. And it grew. It grew, a lot. And when, he got there, he was really the first on this area to build his little cabin. And it's, it was at 401 29th Street is the original location of his cabin. And he developed what is to believe the nation's first fruit-bearing grafted West Indian mango tree. That is in that area. And honestly, today about 80% of the world's commercial mangoes, even in China and India, can actually trace their roots back to the original variety developed right there in Mangonia. And he stayed there. He actually eventually passed away in 1907, but that was his legacy, was that very first mango tree on Mangonia. Although, what's even more strange, well, not strange, but kind of weird, is Gail's daughter, Hattie, She was 16, younger than some, but she went to school there, the Little Red Schoolhouse that had actually opened 2 years later in March of 1886. She actually came after. She came to Florida in 1885, a year after. She actually taught at the school for 3 months before they hired a teacher. Hattie actually went back to Kansas State, though, where she finished her education and married a man and then came back to Lake Worth. So she did end up coming back to Florida, though. But she came back to Mangonia, and she actually ended up helping out with the Overseas Railroad. So this whole family has a huge tie-in with Florida and mangoes and the railroad. So it's just a very lots of things to do with Florida and a lot of things to do with the progression in Florida. But sorry, back to Mangonia. Anyways, I know, very strange. But back to the town of Mangonia. Sorry. So, yeah, Mr. Gale is the one who you can still actually trace that one tree back to the lost city of Mangonia. And when he built his cabin, he actually built it just to, he was originally supposed to build it to grow pineapples with his son George. You know, his son George had actually arrived first earlier in 1884, and they were going to build a pineapple farm. And that's actually what was going to bring his dad and his mom, so Eldridge and his wife, to part of Florida. And they were going to establish, you know, pineapples. But when he got there, he decided that he didn't like pineapples. He was going to establish mangoes. So he built his cabin and he established mango plantation. And over the next decade, not only did he establish the mango plantation and his son had the pineapple farm, but they helped this small town flourish. And not only did it flourish, it had the schoolhouse that his daughter taught at. They had a church, but they also actually had a boat building industry. They actually built boat works. They even had what's called Gale's Point, which is where the boats would launch out of. And at the side of Mangonia, they had what is called boat works, which actually spurred the rediscovery of the forgotten town. People actually forgot about this town for a very long time due to the growth of that entire area. And the reason that they rediscovered this area was actually in 1973. They were doing a pool installation and they unearthed a steam engine that they used to use during the building of the boats at the boat building, at Boatworks. But they rediscovered the steam engine. They pulled it out. It kind of got pushed to the side. But it really wasn't until the 2000s that people decided that they were going to really take note of this lost town. And so the Northwood neighborhood, which is where the original cabin sat, and the plantation, the mango plantation and the pineapple farm and the actual boatworks, they decided that they wanted to really put up a plaque and to remember this lost little neighborhood and to consider it. And it is a historic gem. The actual Northwood neighborhood itself is a historic gem. There are lots of houses that are over 100 years old, and they have a lot of different architectural styles. It's a really cool old neighborhood. If you're ever near West Palm, you really should go drive through it because it's actually a really cool testament to the time when Florida was growing between the late 1800s to the early 1900s. And you can just see how between the land growth and the just tourist boom and then just the boom itself right before the Great Depression, how many people came to Florida and how many people grew Florida. And because, like, I know people say right now, people are coming to Florida. And yeah, they are. People move to Florida a lot. It slowed down a little bit in the past year or so. But back then, people were coming to Florida in droves, just much like they are now. But this Northwood neighborhood really shows it because the houses in this neighborhood have so many different architectural styles. It goes from mission to vernacular to Mediterranean revival. It was almost like whatever anybody wanted to do, and they just fit it in this they kind of just, they kind of just forgot about this little town that you can literally trace back most of the mango trees to, thanks to Eldridge Gale and his wife and his son and his daughter. And you, of course, who his daughter ended up marrying, and who, all his family, his, extended family ended up being throughout Florida. That was really cool that this one man, this forgotten town, is now thankful why we have all these mangoes. So, they did decide to put up a plaque. You can actually go see the plaque today. If you drive down Flagler, it's actually off Flagler. But yeah, there's a really cool little plaque in the Northwood Shores neighborhood. They did get a historical marker, and it's the lost town of Mangonia. And it actually tells about George Gale coming first, and then his dad and his sister, and how they established this little forgotten town and how the town actually grew. Not to be forgotten, of course, not to be mistaken with Mangonia Park, which does actually exist today. It is in Palm Beach County. That is an actual town, which is where I got confused because I heard about this. I heard about the lost city of Mangonia, and I'm like, but there's already a town called Mangonia. So I had to go do some research, and no, there is actually a lost town. And it's just very interesting that you can actually go and you can see, they've still got Gales Point. You can see where it was. You can see where it goes onto the intercoastal. Of course, there's no trespassing because somebody owns it still. You can see kind of where the cabin would have sat. You can see where the waterway would have been. You can see where they would have built the boats and kind of where the plantation might have been. But it's really interesting that this one neighborhood that's probably worth millions of dollars, looking at some of the houses in the neighborhood, has decided to actually remember, what was there before. Because I know a lot of people don't take the time to actually do that. So I thought that was really, really cool that someone decided to take the time to remember the lost city of Mangonia and the reason that we have basically mangoes now in Florida. So I know that's a very short podcast. It's a very interesting tidbit. I know I thought it was a really cool one. I couldn't really fit it in with any other stuff in Florida. It's not really ghost town, as it doesn't really exist anymore. Other ghost towns in Florida, you can still find pieces and parts of them, like Ellaville. So that is the lost town of Mangonia. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing just a little bit about South Florida today. I hope everybody has a great week. No Florida man this week. Just doesn't feel right after what happened at FSU. If you guys have a suggestion or a topic you want to hear, reach out. Hope you guys have a great week. Don't forget to wear your sunscreen, drink your water, guys. And as always, that's your daily dose of sunshine.
This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.